people are buying peptides online that are being sold as like reduce your wrinkles or, weight loss or sort of tone your muscles. It's really worrying because these peptides that have become very big on social media are completely unregulated. So when we develop a drug, a new medicine, they go through lots of clinical trials. So they have the whole development process. These peptides that people are buying online have not gone through that process. And they're being sold by these companies as not for human use. And people are then buying them and injecting them into themselves. Which is really, really dangerous. There simply isn't enough research to tell you what that does.
Welcome to the 51%, the podcast where we cut through the noise and get back to basics when it comes to women's health. Through expert insights and powerful personal stories, we help you tune in to what really matters. Your body, your well-being, your life. No one-size-fits-all advice, just real conversations to help you understand your health on your own terms. But before we dive in, I have a quick favour to ask. Please hit subscribe and join the 51% community on our website. It's free and it helps us grow, reach more women and create events that really speak to the health and wealth challenges we all face. And finally, just so you know, everything shared on this podcast is for information only. It's not medical or financial advice, and always speak to a qualified expert for support. Jack, welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you on. Could you please introduce yourself and talk about your background and exactly what you're doing now, which I'm really excited about. Thank you so much.
Yes, of course. Yeah, no, thanks very much for having me on. Very excited to be here. I'm Jack, PhD researcher currently at Imperial College London and the Francis Crick Institute, also based in central London. And I'm a final year PhD researcher, so getting towards the end now. And my research is in discovering new peptide therapeutics, in my case specifically for looking at trying to find new ways to treat cancer. Yeah. I've been working on that for a few years now, about 3.5 years. And so my background is really in chemistry. When I did my undergraduate studies in Manchester in chemistry, and now I'm sort of in the interface of chemistry and biology, just trying to figure out how we can use peptide therapeutics to interrogate and hopefully treat cancer.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. And that is exactly why I got drawn to you, because I heard you on the radio and I instantly thought I wanted to interview you because there's also a lot of buzz around peptides at the moment, which I've also seen on social media. So let's start with what exactly are peptides, because it's not as simple as we think. I mean, when I hear the word peptides, I probably I'm drawn more to creams, like something in a cream, like a beauty product. But that is obviously not just that. So could you kind of...
Yes, absolutely. So peptides encompass many, many different molecules, but essentially to break it down, what they are is peptides are short chains of amino acids. So amino acids are the building blocks that make up proteins, which you have in your body. And if you just take a shortened version of that, maybe sort of 20, maximum, say 50 of those amino acids in a row, you get what we call a peptide. And so, they can do all sorts of different things in your body. They're usually used in your body as sort of signaling molecules. So they send messages around your body, different parts of your body sending messages to get other parts to do different things. But essentially, they can really also be used as treatments themselves. So, for example, like I said, I'm working on making new peptides. But yes, they're just short chains of amino acids, basically.
So on the positive side of things, in what ways, I know you mentioned, is it curing or preventing cancer? What other positive ways can they be useful? And can you talk a bit about, your work with kind of preventing cancer?
Yes, of course. So, I mean, peptides are a really exciting class of drug modality. So sort of traditionally when we make new medicines, a lot of the things that we use are small chemicals. We also have the option to use these really large antibody therapeutics. And these are sort of the two ends of the drug discovery spectrum. Right in the middle, you get peptides. They sort of have a bit of the properties of both. They're a bit of a mix of the both. So they're becoming really, really exciting class of drug modality. And in academia, like myself, but also in industry and pharmaceutical companies or biotechs, they're being used sort of across the board in lots of different diseases. So cancer, but also in sort of metabolic diseases, different sort of neuro degenerative diseases, because they really are able to sort of unlock new diseases that we haven't really been able to necessarily treat before. They have quite interesting properties as a drug molecule, and so really we're sort of like now in the phase of trying to explore what we can use them for. So yeah, just to touch on what I'm doing, we're focused on cancer, so we look at sort of different cancer targets, so different proteins in your cells that have been sort of shown to sort of initiate cancer. And these are proteins that, you know, we've sort of known for a while do this, but we haven't really had the right sort of tools available to us to be able to treat that with sort of small molecules. So with peptides coming in, we're now seeing what can we do with these? How can these work? Because they're able to sort of, the thing where you have to treat sort of cancer, you sort of like looking at taking a protein that causes cancer and getting a molecule to bind to it and stop it from doing what it's doing. These sort of small molecules that we normally use aren't very good at some of these cancer, but peptides are able to sort of grasp onto them quite nicely. So yeah, it's really exciting. And yeah, I mean, there's lots of research going on, not just where I am, but all over the world. And I think we were sort of really pushing now what we can use peptides for.
Would you say it can be used as a preventative thing, or more you've been diagnosed as having some form of cancer and then you can use peptides to help cure it?
So at the moment, a lot of the work is into after diagnosis, using peptides to sort of like I said, like target those cancer causing proteins. But there's no reason then that they peptides could also be used as a preventative thing. It's more just that at the moment we have a bit of a better understanding of the biology of when you've got cancer, how can we stop it, rather than going backwards and saying what can we give you before you get there. That's just like looking at still trying to figure out the biology of how that works. So that's really why most of the research is currently in the treatment. But I'm sure as we sort of learn more about how cancer develops, I'm sure that would become an option.
Yeah, absolutely. That's for me, you know, more the positive sides of using peptides, right?
Yes.
There's also the negative sides of things. And there's a lot of social media hype on using peptides in many different ways. Can we talk a bit about that? Because there's a lot of stuff on social media at the moment, as we know, people talking about, is it injecting peptides? So what are the dangers of that, and what does that mean? And you know, what should you be looking out for?
Yeah, for sure. So it's become a really big sort of big sort of craze at the moment. Very worrying craze that people are buying peptides online that are being sold as, you know, they can sort of make you sort of like reduce your wrinkles, or, you know, weight loss, or sort of tone your muscles. And it's really worrying because these peptides that have become very big on social media are completely unregulated. So when we develop a drug, you know, a new medicine, they go through lots of clinical trials. So they have the whole development process in a lab with, you know, you test them on cells, then you test them maybe in the animal model, and then you test them in humans, and they get approved by the regulatory bodies. These peptides that people are buying online have not gone through that process. They basically, maybe there's been some studies in animals or some just very early data that they can cause sort of weight loss or build muscle, but they're not approved, and they're being sold by these companies as not for human use. And people are then buying them and injecting them into themselves, which is really, really dangerous, because, you know, the first thing is there simply isn't enough research to tell you what that does. So lots of these Yeah, so a lot of the peptides, they are sort of derived from maybe peptides that we do have in our bodies. So I mentioned earlier about those signaling peptides that send messages around your body. There are peptides that send messages for your body to build muscle that you naturally make, but the balance of that is very well sort of looked after by your body. But people are just trying to inject more of that to see if they can, for example, make more muscle. But yeah, most of those peptides that people are buying online they haven't gone through the clinical trials, the human trials. Those clinical trials are 7 to 10 years. So a lot of research. They're very stringent on what goes through, and they're just to assess, is it safe? Does it do what we think it does? And, does it actually give you benefit? And that's really what the process is to protect people so that when they approve something, it's like, right, this is going to be safe, but it's also going to benefit someone. People that are taking these peptides, these are things that have not had that 7 to 10 year extra research. They haven't got into a human yet, a lot of them. We don't know what they do. They might do nothing, but they also might do like something bad.
Yeah.
And it's just not, they're really, really not safe.
Yeah, I guess it's only time will tell
Yes.
what the consequences are of
Yes.
of taking anything really that isn't tested.
Yeah.
It's a bit, I guess, not to talk about vapes, but it's a bit like vaping, right?
No,
only
exactly
time will tell
Yeah.
what the issue is. I mean, they're already saying that actually vaping is really bad.
Yes.
It causes X, Y, and Z. But would you say then that the peptides people inject to increase muscle compared to reduce wrinkles and all the other things that people benefit from supposedly, are they all different forms of peptides targeting different areas? So the one that I take from my muscle isn't going to be the one I use for my wrinkles, as an example.
That's exactly right. Yeah, they're all completely different. So that sort of, when I say these are like chains of those different amino acids, there's naturally 20 different amino acids, and they're just like maybe different orders or different amino acids. So they sort of look completely different, and that means that in your body they do completely different things. So yes, like you say, if there would be a different thing for different peptide for trying to build muscle, to reduce wrinkles, to all sorts. So yeah, they're all completely different. And I think, yeah, what's become quite a big sort of in part of the peptide craze is what people refer to as like peptide stacks, where they're like a mix of a load of different peptides. So there's like, you can buy the super mix, which is, we're going to build your muscle and reduce your wrinkles and all this, and it's just all this mix, which is a mix of stuff that you don't know, what it really does actually when it goes into you. So
yeah, absolutely. It's worrying that you can just buy it and sell it. I guess, is it easy for me to go and find a company that sells these peptides and then repackage it, remarket it, and then go on social media and say, hey, if you buy this off me, it's going to reduce your wrinkles and so on. I mean, is that not illegal?
It's this weird grey area. You are right. It's actually super easy to do that. Yeah. It's this strange grey area where the companies that people are buying them from are selling them for research purposes only, not for human use.
Right.
So they obviously know that people are then going to buy that and inject them into themselves. But because of the fact that they're selling them not for human use, they then have like anything that happens after that, not on me, basically.
Yeah.
So it's scary how easy that is to do. And one of the sort of other scarier parts of that, as someone that knows the sort of area, is that when you get approval for like a drug that's gone through all the process, the manufacturing of peptides as actual therapeutics is very, very rigorous. And they have to go under lots of sort of they get lots of checks to make sure that it's exactly what you say it is, and it's very pure. Whereas with these things, the manufacturing is very unregulated. So I saw a study recently where someone bought a load of these peptides from different websites, and actually 15% to 20% contained what's known as endotoxins, which are toxins from bacteria that can become present in these kind of things, these peptides, if you don't have proper manufacturing protocols in process. And that will make you very, very ill. And they're very prevalent because the manufacturing of these things isn't regulated, because anyone can just go and sort of, they're just made, and then anyone can go make them and then sell them as not for human use. So they're sort of able to get away with this strange area in the regulation. And
whose responsibility is it to make sure this is regulated and not sold to anyone, really? And it should only be sold to people like yourself, as an example, because you're actually doing research.
Exactly. So the regulatory bodies for drug approvals are, so in the UK we have the MHRA, in Europe it's the EMA, and then in America it's the FDA, which is probably the most famous one. So they regulate when the sort of sale and the clinical trials of new therapeutics. They at the moment doesn't feel like they can do too much in this case, because they're being sold for research purposes. But I think there needs to be a sort of movement between the central government and these agencies to improve the regulation on these things, because they know what they're being sold. They know what they're being sold for now. It's like we can't just let that happen. So I think there needs to be a sort of a push. So, for example, in this country, between the UK government and the MHRA, to basically try and cut down on these manufacturers that are selling these peptides. And they sort of on their website sell you the dream of whatever. You're gonna put on loads of muscle, you're gonna lose loads of weight, you're gonna remove all your wrinkles. So I think there needs to be basically a sort of like collaborative work between the two.
Yeah, absolutely. You can easily, in theory it sounds so simple to, if I go to a company and say, hey, give me a load of peptides for research purposes, so-called research purposes, and I buy them, there should be a check in between. Well, who are you? Where are you from? What company are you from? What are you using it for? And it's very simple to check that, Jack works at Imperial. He's a PhD researcher. We know exactly his credentials, and yes, we will sell them to you. As opposed to sell them to a podcast host.
Yes, exactly.
No,
exactly. There really, really does need to be better system in place for that, because you're right. Like, where's the checks? There are none. It's way too easy.
It sounds like quite a simple check, to be honest.
Exactly.
In theory, it really sounds like a very simple check, but it's obviously not happening. So, can you talk me through the clinical trials side of things? Because it will be really useful to understand that when you have something that you think is going to work to, let's say, cure a certain cancer, as an example, or even if it is get rid of all your wrinkles, let's say, okay, miraculously, which I don't think there is anything. What process should something go through that you have created generally? Because this isn't just about peptides. This is the standard for anything really that's created, right? Because I know the beauty industry, the clinical trials it's not really they don't wait 7 to 10 years, right? But when you're creating a drug or doing something like this, what's the process?
So the overall process from start to finish is normally 10 to 15 years. So it's a long old time. It starts off with discovery. So that would be sort of similar to what we do. Trying to discover new peptides, say.
Yeah.
You then find something that you think works really well.
Yeah.
You take that forward to then working in animal models. So checking it's safe in animals, and it's doing sort of what you think it's going to do.
Do you always have to use animals? So I know some people say not animal tested and things. I know drugs potentially
pretty much, yes. It's the amount that animals are used. It's always trying to be reduced. And there's very, very strict guidelines for when you use animals for research.
Yeah.
But it's just we currently just don't have any other way of having that level of check before it goes into a human.
Yeah, yeah.
But to be able to put something into an animal, it has had to go through a lot of work first. So that's before you get to an animal, 3 to 4 years. You then you inject it in an animal, or you give it to an animal, and you make sure it's safe. So does it have any adverse effect? But also that it's actually kind of treating the disease. So then if that goes well, you then start this will be after that animal testing, probably 5 to 6 years. You then start the human trials, which is the 7 to 10 years. And you have basically clinical trials is consisted of 3 phases. Phase 1 is just for safety. So you give it to a small number of healthy people, just seeing, okay, is this safe? If that goes well, you go to phase 2, which is does this work? So that will be then patients. A small number at first, but just you'll give the drug to some patients and say, okay, is this sort of slowing down the cancer, for example? And then if that works, you go to phase 3, which is, okay, on a lot of patients, okay, in a very large population of patients, is this safe? Does this work? And then if that works, then the regulatory bodies will review all of that and say either, yes, you're free to sell the drug, or no, like we won't let that go through.
Yeah. And that's when obviously I guess the pharmaceuticals come into it and then approve the drug and say, yes, we'll sell it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And then I guess in terms of the beauty industry, it's a completely different process, right? Because I've not really heard of or seen someone selling a miracle cream that they've tested for 7 to 10 years.
So the big difference there is that the reason that there doesn't need to be the same stringency is it's very different putting something on your skin to putting something in your body. So your skin is actually like a very, very good barrier for protecting your body. There's not that much that can necessarily pass through your skin. And so, where you put something in your body, you could get all different responses. It's much, much more dangerous. So that's why there isn't the same regulatory standards, because it's just much less risky. There's much less risk for the person taking it, basically.
Yeah. I see. I think it in terms of what's out there then on social media, someone like me that has no idea, I don't have much information on peptide. I mean, I do now after speaking to you, but and I'm looking to have a wrinkle-free face as an example, or build muscle fairly quickly because I'm perimenopausal and I really want to build muscle really quick. And I see these peptides. What should I be looking out for, and not kind of fall prey to that kind of stuff?
So I would say that, if you first of all, speak to your doctor, speak to an expert. I see a lot of people say things like, I've done my research, but if you don't, that's not necessarily anyone's fault, but if you're not trained to do the research, just trust someone that is. The next thing is you can find out from looking online about what trials this certain peptide has gone through. So just do a quick Google search on the name of the peptide in clinical trials. And then also you can look on the FDA website, the MHRA website, and you can see exactly what clinical trials it's gone through and how many patients it's been tested in, what were the results. So there's databases out there to check it's safe and it's good. So yes, that is really the process to go through. Trust the system that's been put in place to protect patients. Yes, but I think that's really the main thing, is to trust what's the thing you often get. The systems that are in place and the sort of regulatory bodies are not there to stop you getting anything that you want. That's not their job. Their job is to protect you so that when you are given something, it is safe and it is going to help you. So that's the main thing. But I do understand, why why people there's certain people feel like there is a lack of opportunities available to them or help available to them. You mentioned perimenopausal. There's your body changes a lot, and actually, there's unfortunately over the history been a lack of research in areas such as this.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what drives certain people or women to investigate these kind of other alternatives because they probably feel underserved.
Yeah.
Which I we completely understand. There's been a history of a lack of sort of women's health research, and so I think it's really important now to make sure that we are doing that.
Yeah.
So there is a gap at the moment, but hopefully, if we can push that forward, then people feel that they've been they've got options available to them. Would be the great thing, but safe options available to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess when you run your clinical trials, and when people do, the important thing is that they, select people from a diverse pool.
Exactly.
But whether that's men, women, people from different, races and things like that. I think it's so important because, again, people will react in different ways to different things. So that's important. And I'm assuming that's kind of pushed through now as opposed to before. It wasn't
Yes,
done,
exactly.
right?
No, that's, like you say, that's super important to make sure, and that is checked very rigorously nowadays, that when you design a clinical trial, yes, have you got a even mix of men and women, different races, and things like that, and different ages.
Yeah,
because you're right, your body, the biology of a man's body and a woman's body is very, very different. And similarly, the biology of a 8-year-old and an 18-year-old is very, very different. So really that does need to be covered. And you're right, that wasn't always.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 1993 that the FDA said that there has to be women and men in the same trial.
Wow.
But like all the trials before that were very, very male dominated, almost just male exclusive.
Yeah.
Main reason being because men's body biologically is more simple.
Yeah.
And so they were like, well, this is just easier.
It's just easier. Easier,
Which is
quicker.
just, but then if like over half the population is not even sort of tested in that trial, what does that show you?
Yeah.
It's very unhelpful. So the good thing is now that is getting pushed.
Yeah.
That is very strict now, and is getting pushed to make sure that, when you develop a drug, it's not just safe for one group, but it's safe for everyone. It's been tested for everyone. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. There are women and men that are vulnerable on social media because they want quick fixes, and perhaps when they do go to their doctors, they're not heard, or they're not given the right information or the right medication. And I guess maybe certain things aren't even tested on women. Women may be seeking alternative routes for quick fixes. But then they really do need to look at potentially in the long term. There could be serious consequences of that.
Yes.
Especially when you're buying an injectable peptide from someone like me.
Yeah.
As an example.
Exactly.
Right? I'm assuming that's what's happening on socials, right?
It's
literally
been
anyone.
Literally, and it's been, this has been really driven by social media. The sort of, people just promoting these peptides and, the sort of for different aesthetic reasons. And that's been really what's driving, and that's how it's become so big. So, I think that's, that's really is another thing that would be great if it could be sort of controlled in a way, not like just like people shouldn't be able to advertise necessarily like just stuff that they have no idea whether it works or not. So that's been a very key driver, is just completely exploded on social media, which is just why it's become so big so quickly.
I guess it's a collective responsibility, right? The responsibility is on you buying it as a consumer to do your research and check the facts. The responsibility is also on the doctors, GPs, and the responsibilities on the regulatory bodies, and the responsibilities also on the social media platforms as well.
Definitely.
Right? It's a collective thing.
Yes.
Because no one person's going to be able to stop the whole thing.
Exactly.
Collectively,
Yeah, definitely. And I think, there needs, like you're completely right there needs to be, response from all these different people. And I think also, partly is response from the scientists because, people don't know what peptides are. It's just like I think it's become like a bit of a buzzword that actually encompasses an unbelievable amount of different things. So I think it's, there's some part which obviously people are not expected to know. Not everyone is a scientist. So there is a certain level of, how can we also help to sort of, just educate and sort of just like try and treat this sort of misinformation that's going around.
Sure. Absolutely. So tell me, Jack, you're responsible for researching peptides to treat cancer.
Yes.
Right? Is it any specific type of cancer, or are you looking at all cancers? Because, like, let's take bowel cancer compared to breast cancer. Just as two examples there. Are the cell structures going to be different? And how do you then create something that treats one compared to the other? Or is it going to be literally this one thing will treat all of them?
So there is definitely not one fix-all problem.
There never really
there
is.
Never is. There never is. It would be great if there was, but unfortunately not. But so what we look at is so inside your cell there are proteins that are causing the cancer, which then that sort of expands to the cellular level and goes out. And so we're looking at specific proteins, but I'm just mainly looking at one specific protein that causes cancer. And that causes cancer in, for example, pancreatic cancer, but also in lung cancer. But not every pancreatic cancer and not every lung cancer. So it's when we look at it at the stage that I'm looking at, which is like really early stage, we look at it at the sort of protein level, which has some overlaps between different types of cancer, but is not necessarily all cancers either. And we look at it more from that's just like from the root biological cause. And then say, for example, so I discovered a peptide for this particular protein. We would then choose the particular cancers that this would be the most appropriate for.
Right.
So we do it really right from the root cause and then build up to where essentially once you figure out exactly what that particular drug is doing, how is that best going to sort of help a patient in which type of cancer? And ideally that is then applicable to, a few different ones. But it's not always the case because there's lots of different sort of biological drivers, and it's about assessing which ones you're trying to look at.
Right.
So it's always got sort of quite a few extra layers of complexity. But that's how we go about it.
I guess you could focus on the kind of common cancers, right?
So exactly. So the common cancers, and also it's great to look at the ones where just the sort of treatments are not as good at the moment. So the particular protein that I study is quite prevalent in pancreatic cancer, for example, and sort of serious pancreatic cancer has got sort of not the best treatment options at the moment. So that's like another reason why it's a good sort of we sort of like to look at that. There's just assessing what the current treatment options are, and some are better than others at the moment. So it's like trying to fill the gaps, basically.
Right. Okay. I see. How far are you from creating something then? Because obviously, it's almost up to 15 years. Right?
Yes. Yeah. So
where are you?
Very early on. What we do is we sort of use peptides to investigate this protein that causes cancer and more use it to assess our options. So what if what I've sort of the things that I work on would become a drug, it would be on that sort of like 0 to 6 month phase of the 15, very, very early stage. So we're sort of looking at whether peptides are a good option in this case and whether it's possible to use them. And obviously would be like super great to discover one that did. But we're very much in the like exploratory phase. So yeah, it would be in that very, very early part.
Yeah.
Which, it would obviously be super exciting to find something.
Yeah.
But I think what we're really trying to do is just look at trying to provide information for whether it's a good option. Yeah.
What other amazing things can peptides be used to cure and help towards then?
So, I mean, there's some really, really sort of exciting areas that are being pushed through in academia, but also in industry. I mean, to give a nice example, the GLP-1 peptides that have become really big. Things like Ozempic, they are actually, they've gone through the clinical trials. That's legitimate, and they are sort of very impressive because the sort of pathway that they go after has been previously sort of thought to be very difficult to treat. And obviously they're out there for weight loss, but they're also out there for treating patients with type 2 diabetes. And they've been showing some really great results in helping these patients with type 2 diabetes as well. And I think what it's now doing is it's these peptides, what I think is the most exciting thing about them is they're unlocking sort of the ability for us to investigate new biology, so to do with metabolism, and actually how metabolism is actually now sort of looking like it's linked to lots of other different diseases. So things like neurodegenerative diseases, has been shown that the pathways somehow overlap. And we don't, but this is really super early stage, but like, it's just that now we never knew that until they've suddenly made these GLP-1 peptides, and because they've been able to investigate this sort of that particular biology, we're now finding out all this new information about how metabolism is really important so I think we're going to see a really big rise in sort of metabolic diseases, and also just sort of like synonymous with other diseases, like there's been some trials of whether these sort of peptides can also be used in Alzheimer's, for example. So I think we're just sort of like starting to broaden the horizons and really understand what these things are able to do. But because of how powerful these peptides are, it's giving us the tools to be able to do all this other great exploration. So I think it's really sort of opening doors of diseases like we can go after. I mean, for example, the Alzheimer's would be amazing to be able to help in some way of that. It's such a prevalent disease that's obviously sort of really harmful. So I think it's a really exciting area. So the peptide research, I think, is going to be really growing.
I mean, it sounds really exciting. Who knew like peptides can kind of help cure potentially so many different things, and I think that's going to be fantastic. So I'm really excited to hear more breakthroughs come through. And obviously I just want to emphasize that always research what you're getting yourself into when you're buying stuff of people that are just random people like myself, as an example. I'm not trained in anything. I'm not an expert. I'm not a scientist. I mean, really, they shouldn't even be buying off you if you're saying exactly. So this
Trust,
is my point. So really do your research, and that I want to emphasize about peptides, because there's a lot of hype on social media and information that's incorrect. But Jack, thank you so much for talking about everything to do with peptides, and I really wish you well with your research. I hope there are some amazing breakthroughs coming out soon.
Thank you very much. It was really great to chat, and we'll keep you posted if anything crazy happens. But thank you very much. Great to be here.
Thanks, Jack.